to kick us off, please.
Sure, thanks, Rahul. Although I may clarify that we'll reserve the term expert as we move down the line, I think people like John and others that have been working. Hello?
Yeah.
People like John who have been working really with AMI integration at utilities are the true keepers of a lot of the actual operational knowledge of whether or not AMI has proved to be a good investment for utilities. Where I work at the Edison Electric Institute, just as a reference point, we're a trade association. We are a membership organization of all of the investor-owned utilities in the United States, and then we also have a group of international electric utility members who operate in 90 countries around the world. So there's actually 2 EEI member companies on the panel today. Both SESC and Calcutta and Encore are EEI members. And so we work to support our member utilities to provide business intelligence on the trends that we see going on in the industry. We provide regulatory advocacy support, particularly at the state level in front of public utility commissions in the United States. And we also do a lot of convening and events and other things like that. So the remarks that I'll offer today are based primarily on a report that we issued in December that was the product of a set of interviews and survey data from our U.S. utility members looking at the sort of market status of AMI rollout in the United States over the 10 years that that occurred, and to try and uncover and unpack what were not only some of the expected benefits of AMI, but also what were some of the unanticipated benefits, which are proving to be increasingly valuable and point to other sources of value for utilities and for customers down the road. And so where the United States is at today, really it's been about 10 years of rolling out AMI infrastructure, and there's about 76 million smart meters deployed in the United States today. That's getting close to where we think the saturation point in the United States is. By 2020, we estimate that there may be 90 million meters in deployment, and 76 million is about 60% of households. 90 million is getting closer to 80% of households. And there may be, some part of that remainder there where it may not make sense to bring AMI to those locations because of the population density of certain areas or other reasons why the electric serving entities there have decided to forego AMI. About 40 electric companies in the U.S. are fully deployed with AMI, and there's a number of new regulatory proceedings which have approved funding for grid modernization. And when you look into those filings before regulatory commissions on what are the components that utilities are asking for, AMI deployment is the it's sort of the front and center building block of a lot of those proposals. And I think the way that we structured our study is to kind of categorize the benefits that utilities have looked at into 3 categories. One is a better capacity to be able to monitor the health of the electric grid closer and closer to real time, and to be able to use that information in ways that improve power system operations. Secondly, the ability to more quickly restore power outages when they occur. We had some really striking examples of that in the last year with some of the hurricanes that came through, and that really affected some of our utility members in Texas and in Florida, and I'll provide a couple examples of that. Integrating distributed energy resources is another one, to put in place the infrastructure that is going to be necessary down the road as there becomes more and more of a value proposition to integrate DERs into the distribution system where they're providing more services back to the grid. AMI is a key component of that. And then finally, unlocking and delivering new energy solutions for customers, not just through dynamic pricing, but other ways in which consumers can interact not only with their electricity, but also the data behind their own consumption. So, for most utilities, when they began AMI rollout, the justification really had to do with reducing truck rolls and the need for manual meter readings. And that's definitely been the case, that eliminating manual meter readings is a significant labor savings. But there's a variety of other operational benefits which are immediate benefits for utilities in AMI as well. The ability to have remote service connection and disconnection is a benefit, not just because of the labor savings, but also because of lower personal and property liability associated with it, and the reduction in safety concerns with having people out there interacting with equipment. A better accuracy of consumption, especially for companies that were averaging the consumption or skipping months. There's a reduction in labor for complaint calls that come into customer support centers that's associated with that as well. Better situational awareness, having a centralized understanding of all of the meters that are in your system, and knowing which ones are inactive or are giving you inaccurate information, rather than just relying on information reported by customers. Automated repair ticket creation, revenue protection and theft reduction. In the United States, it's not so much of a problem. Some utilities report that energy theft may be 1 or 2%, but it's not a significant issue in the United States. But then identifying and preventing early equipment failure, that's a really interesting one. We have some utility members like AEP, Baltimore Gas and Electric, Dominion, DTE Energy, who are not just taking the consumption data, but also the voltage and power quality information that they're able to get from their meters, and use that information for voltage optimization and then proactive identification of distribution transformers that may be in need of repair. And so that was something that was an example of an operational benefit that was not necessarily the main reason why some of those utilities invested in AMI to begin with. So I think there are other operational benefits that I won't go into more detail on, but outage notification, improved accuracy on revenue forecasting, allowing for behavioral programs, the nudges of the world like O-Power. In the United States, in certain jurisdictions, you can actually recover costs for enrolling customers in energy efficiency programs like that, and so that's an additional source of revenue for utilities as well. I'll provide maybe just 2 examples of this in practice that occurred in October of last year, when we had a number of power outages in Texas and in Florida related to some of the hurricanes that rolled through there. One of our utility members in Houston, CenterPoint Energy, they have a rollout of smart meters to all 2.4 million of their customers, and that's one component of a automation and digitalization of their distribution system that they've undertaken. So, they have AMI, they've got automated substations, they've got a large number of intelligent grid switching devices, and they've established a private wireless radio telecommunications network across the area that when outages occurred during Hurricane Harvey, they were able to take all of that information generated by the AMI infrastructure and all of the other automated equipment and intelligent equipment in their distribution system, and it really was able to reduce the outage time for a large variety of customers. It was able to allow them to pre-position and deploy crews in a more efficient way. And by their estimate, the savings of that was a reduction of 41 million outage minutes in terms of customer outages during that storm incident. So they saw some very direct benefits by having AMI and these other components of an intelligent distribution system in place.
Sorry, that's annual, 41 million, or total?
For the hurricane.
For that one event?
For the hurricane.
For that one event?
Yeah, outage minutes.
Yeah.
And a second example would be Florida Power and Light, which has about 5 million customers in Florida, and with Hurricane Irma had power outages to almost all of its customers. And they've invested heavily in intelligent distribution system equipment as well. And before Irma even completely exited their service territory, they were able to automatically restore power to over 1 million of their customers, and within 24 hours restore power to 2 million of their customers. And there's no way that that would have been possible if they didn't have the information that relied on the data being provided by smart meters. And so I think those are pretty poignant examples of how, particularly in times of extreme weather events, the data, if it's connected, appropriately to other systems in your operations, can lead to knowledge which allows you to use your resources more effectively and improve outcomes for your customers. So, in the interest of time, I'll stop there. But yeah.
Thank you, Daniel.